Okay, I call this meeting of the Magnolia Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. So if everybody will please stand, Ms. McDonald is going to lead us in our invocation.
It's long been a tradition for us to start our meetings with prayer, so if you choose to pray with me, please bow your heads. Father, thank you so much for this great day of life. Thank you so much for these students and the parents and the teachers and administrators that are all here to celebrate these kids' success. Father, I want to especially thank you for my fellow school board members, that they're such good people and they spend a lot of volunteer time away from their families. And I just thank you for the love that they have for the district and the kids in it. And Father, I just pray that you keep us all safe as we go home this evening afterwards. We pray all these things in the name of your Son, our Redeemer, Christ Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So we'll have a couple of students come up here and lead our pledges, Lane and Gino. So you're going to do the U.S. for us, right? And then you're going to do the Texas. Is that right? So we'll do the U.S. first. Kick us off.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Lane. Have a seat. Gino, stay up here, please.
Hello, I'm Letty Roman. I'm the principal at Magnolia Elementary. Tonight I have the pleasure of presenting Mr. Gino Castillo to you as our Carrillo. I've been practicing it and I messed up. Thank you, Gino. Carrillo as our student of the month. I want to welcome his family. His mom is here. His sister Maria. Maria is in 10th grade, Magnolia West. And Tatiana, 8th grade at Magnolia Junior High, and his cousin is here. So school board here's a very fun young man for you to hear a little bit about tonight. So Gino is, his teacher said he is always on task, and his mom said he is always on task doing the right thing at home too, which how many of us could say that? I don't think I could. He is a student with a lot of integrity. He is kind to everyone. Gino told me that he has earned Bulldog Pride every year since kindergarten. And so at Magnolia Elementary, we choose one student per week out of each grade level to be our Bulldog Pride winner. And so, you know, there's not that many kids in each grade level that can earn it, and he has gotten it every single year. I asked him if he wanted to wear his medals tonight, and he said he's lost some of them. So that's okay, but we are so proud of him for doing that. Gino said he would like to be an architect when he grows up and has not decided where he would like to go to college, and that's okay for right now. So as I talked to Gino and his teachers, Miss Adams could not be here tonight. She's our music teacher, but she had one comment that kind of summarizes Gino. She said, Gino always looks good, he smells good, and his hair is on point. And I said, yeah, I think that's how I'm going to end it. So here you go. Here's Gino.
So I want to introduce to you, I'm from Magnolia Intermediate, and he's the first ever Magnolia Intermediate student, so we're excited about that. And he's here with his mother, Andy, his little brother, Hank, and his grandmother, Mrs. Artsy. I had a bunch of things to say. I'd written it down, I talked to him, and then he delivered a letter to me today. And I thought, this speaks so much about why we chose Lane. Lane lost his father early in life. And he said, Ms. Bertrand, I want to share. One of my 4th grade assignments was to write about my life story, and I want to share it with you. I went through 1st grade very sad. It seemed to get better over time. One thing that helped me was Mama telling us we choose life. She told me that happiness is a choice. She said that being sad is normal, and she said that bad emotions are normal, but bad actions aren't. We talked about how good choices we make every day. We honor my dad. I think that every part of school for me is learning about how happiness and sadness can happen at the same time. It's learning the same things Mama told me when I was 6, but learning them a year older and a year smarter. And then he says, that is how I define character. It is an honor to represent our school. And we are very honored by Lake. Likes Mr. Blizzard's A&M, because he wants to go to A&M.
Oh,
he knows
that's
too.
good. Well, congratulations. It's a true honor to have you here. And it's like I told you, it's a big deal. You know, we present this thing to 2 kids 9 months out of the year. That's 18 kids out of 14,000. So it's quite an honor. Come on, Dino, we're going to roast you a little bit more too. Congratulations, buddy. Here's yours. I have a feeling we're going to see these guys again.
Yeah.
Better not lose that certificate now.
That's right.
Did the mom make it? Okay. Let's give these guys another hand. Good job. We're going to see these guys again.
I have no doubt.
We're
Back
gonna
here for
see
a
them
lot of
several
them.
times. So, that's awesome. Okay, unless I'm off, I think it's your turn.
Well, it's School Board Appreciation Month, isn't it?
We didn't ask for that.
Across the state of Texas tonight, well, not tonight, but in this month in January, school districts are honoring those people who serve as trustees in our Texas public schools. And we're especially honored because I think we have the best school board in the state of Texas right here in Magnolia ISD. And we're so honored that we have these people who agree to serve. They dedicate their time, their energy, their talents to help move this district forward. And they're dedicated to that vision. They want to turn this into the best district in the state of Texas, and we work at that every time we're together. And we thank you from the bottom of our heart that you give us the vision, you help give us the resources and the time and the support, and a lot of times you roll up your sleeves and you're right out there with us making those things happen. So thank you guys for all the work that you put into and all the love you have for this district. And so from the bottom of our heart, we say thank you. Can we get a round of applause for that?
Thank you.
That's all I have.
That's more than enough. We do it because we love to, but I tell you, our job couldn't be easier because of the great folks that we work with. So Dr. Todd and everybody in this room, I mean, it's just a fantastic district to be a part of. So we're very proud to be here.
Let's do some recognitions here.
That's right, absolutely. All right, we're going to jump a little bit out of order. Not that anybody knows what the real order is, because I think there's been a little snafu on 1488, I heard. But where's Dr. Campbell? If you can go first, that'd be great.
President Blizzard and school board and Dr. Stevens, administration and guests. The Texas Educational Theater Association awards an Educator of the Year each year, and this year that went to our own Rod Sheffield. He was chosen in the K through 12 category, and Rod's influence with theater spans several decades. I'll leave it at that, several decades. His enthusiasm, creativity, and love of students makes him an amazing teacher for our students. And his peers are the ones that recognized him for his contribution throughout the entire state. And to me, that makes it especially rewarding. And I was able to be at the banquet when he was awarded this. And it really, it doesn't say anywhere that this is what it is, but it was kind of like a lifetime achievement, kind of like a culmination of things. And when he gave his speech, He thanked the many students that had gone through his classes, and he thanked his peers, and he thanked his administration, including you. So thank you for your support. And what I wanted to do at this time is just bring that to your attention. He already received his award and so forth. We don't have anything to, another award to hand him. We do have a token of our appreciation. But I just wanted the community and the school board to know what a fine educator we have in Magnolia, Mr. Rod Sheffield. One of the few times he's speechless.
I know he's not a loss for words.
We do want to, his compadre in crime is Miss Carter Ridge back there, and several of his students are here. They're not the best, but they're students. That's what we brought tonight, so thank you very much.
So I do want to thank the board and thank you, administration, for all the huge support that you've given the fine arts here in Magnolia ISD. It's one of the greatest places to teach, and one of the reasons why I'm here is because of the huge support that we have from the administration. So thank you all so much for your continued support. We're going to continue to work with our amazing students and get things good so that Magnolia is known around the state as one of the top fine arts programs in Texas. So thank you very much again for all your support.
I meet on a regular basis with the Houston area fine arts directors and around the state as well in the various organizations, and they're quite jealous of what they call the theater mecca that we've built here in Magnolia. So our name's getting out, and thank you, Rod, thank you, Carter, and thank you, students, for part of your good behavior. Thanks. Let me go get Miss Frank. So while they're coming in, I'll tell you a little bit about why they're here tonight. This is the Magnolia High School Chorale. The Foundation for Music Education sponsors a competition each year with bands, choirs, and orchestras. And this is a competition that's not live, but rather a recording is sent in and from various groups and ensembles. Of the 161 musical ensembles from 32 states entered in the competition, the top quarter are selected as national award winners. Magnolia High School Chorale, under the direction of Miss Jennifer Franz Milady, was selected this past fall for the Mark of Excellence National Choral Award for a second straight year. We thank our district administration and campus administration under the guidance of Dr. Metz, and Ms. Kane is back there as well, Mr. Hibner, for your continued support. And at this time, I ask them to prepare an a cappella piece for you and for your entertainment. So here's the Magnolia High School Chorale. we've got some late breaking news that I want to share with you. We'll bring her back to the school board meeting in March or April, but Miss Taylor Frick, if you'll step forward, she was just named Saturday. She's one of our altos. She was named to the All-State Choir, so that's a really big thing. Thank you, Ken. And my last thing I'd like to share with you, so we have theater, now we have choir, now we're moving on to art. The PBK Architects partners with our district to design and build some really great schools. They also have an annual calendar contest, and for our art students, any art student that attends a school with whom they've partnered, this year we want to recognize 2 of our MISD art students who were chosen for the PBK calendar. We want to thank our school board, district administration, the campus administration under the leadership of Ms. Bertrand and Ms. Martinez for always supporting the arts. And at this time, I have the honor of introducing to you our 5th grade art teacher, Ms. Michelle Gavin, and she'll take it from here.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight, and I want to thank our administrators for taking their time to support the fine arts in our school. Thank you, Ms. Bertrand, Ms. Martinez, and thank you, Mr. Reed, for all of your help throughout the year to make sure that we have an exceptional program for our students. I am very excited and honored to be here and be part of this school district. We have some incredibly talented students, and I love working with them to nurture them and to bring out the best that they can be. Our challenge this year came at a very early time in our school year, as we were only in school for about a week and a half when they were given this new assignment. Our students were asked to find their favorite place in the school. Magnolia Intermediate School is an incredibly beautiful campus, and the children were very inspired to be in such a beautiful building. So they went and they saw some photographs and they spent a little bit of time deciding what they wanted to focus on. They came back to the art room a couple days later and they drew from memory their favorite space. So I want to welcome up our 2 winners that we have. Miss Haley Hudson, she is one of our winners. There's Haley. They selected 40 students from all the schools that they have done construction for and done design for. And Miss Haley Hudson, Haley, would you care to show this beautiful painting? Haley chose to show our library. Our library is an incredible space, and one of the first things you see when you enter our school, and she did a phenomenal job. Thank you, Haley. And we have one of our runner-ups, Miss Autumn Nassar. Autumn. Both of our students did an incredible job. Autumn chose a space that's adjacent to our library. It is our learning stairs. This is often a place where our students will congregate, share ideas, do some brainstorming, and we just love how they rendered these beautiful spaces of our school. Haley is being supported here by her parents this evening. We have with her Travis and Amy Hudson, and also her family. I believe she has grandparents and her little sisters here. And Autumn has a whole entourage. She is being supported by her mom, Hope Faulkner, and her father, Travis Nassar, and Scott Allen, her stepfather, is here. And she really does have quite the entourage that has attended tonight. So we thank you for your time. I'm sure we're going to be seeing much more from these wonderful students. We also have a certificate of honor for Autumn, and a certificate of achievement for Haley, as well as copies of the calendar that their works are in. So thank you, ladies. You did a wonderful job. Congratulations.
As you can tell, we're very proud of our staff and also our students, and we once again want to say thank you for your time and thank you for always supporting the arts.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. I mean, what a great honor to enjoy some talent from Mr. Sheffield and his team back here, and Ms. Franz. I mean, it's just, this place is dripping with talent.
We've got some rodeo art heading down to Houston, too.
Oh,
So,
that's right. That's right.
some talented students. I can't wait to see some of the results of that. And there's some good cow pictures in there. We can add to our collection of them.
That's right. That's right.
I'd just like to
Okay,
say, as parents or as school board members, what we like to do is encourage all the children to find their passion somewhere, wherever it is, and live that as big as they possibly can. And your crew, Dr. Campbell, really reaches in and finds that for students, and things that sometimes they don't even know they already love. So it keeps everybody plugged in, and we appreciate it a lot.
All right, Mr. Parsons.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Derek Parsons. I'm the IB coordinator for Magnolia High School. Before we get going, I'd like to thank the school board for our time this evening, being able to spread what I think is the good news of our program. So IB gets a lot of attention for its academics and all the many great things it does as far as college preparation and hours that you receive for college credit, and scholarship and all those good things. But IB, part of what IB is not only to achieve those high scholastic achievements, but is also, like, part of the purpose is to try to develop the whole person, the whole student, not just academically, but in other areas as well. And so while, like, what these students here do during the day is what we'd consider academic knowledge, there is a whole nother, well, there's all kinds of knowledge, types of knowledge, and one of those is experiential knowledge. The experience that you get and that you gain from being a human and participating in things and doing things and helping others. And so built into the IB program is something called Creativity, Action, Service. And we call it CAS because it's much shorter. And so the CAS program is an integral part of the IB program. It is about what do you learn by being a person and by serving others, making our local community more beautiful and a more whole place. The nature of service, of course, is not one to receive recognition. These students here tonight, and many of our other IB students, would not toot their horns about all the service type things that they're doing. It's not the nature of service, nor is keeping score the nature of service as well. But perhaps on an event like this tonight, a benefit can be to spread some joy, some goodness, and perhaps inspiration for others. So students are called upon and tasked with, if you will, for lack of a better term, to create a CAS project throughout their junior and senior year of the IB program. And so we have many students who have done that. We've chosen 3 for tonight, 3 wonderful students who have wonderful CAS projects that they're going to share with you tonight. But do understand that they do represent, not only have they done amazing things individually by themselves, but they do represent the whole of the program as well. The many students who it would take an hour and a half for us to get through all the things that they have done for them. So, and of course, also things don't happen in isolation, so we'd like to thank our campus administration, Dr. Metz, the support of parents, and our community in these endeavors. But, as I've learned over the years, it's time for me to get out of the way and let the kids do the talking. So tonight we have Taylor Gross, who is a senior, Taylor Thomas, who is a junior, and Carly Gutierrez, who is a senior, and each one in turn will tell you about their CAS project.
Hi guys, my name is Taylor Gross. Last year around May, I threw this, I put together a prom-like event for our special needs branch of our school, and it was something that meant so much to me, as well as the people who did it with me and who helped me put all of the organization together. The student was geared specifically towards these people rather than having a prom for the whole high school that we usually do. I picked this assignment just because I realized that we don't have enough recognition in that type of branch in our school. And I saw this news of a Night to Remember, which is like a bigger organization, and they threw this prom-like event for them, and it was extravagant and it was wonderful, and it just sparked this idea into me, or not in me. So we had our own kind of DJ. We had a lot of our IB students help out with me. We created this dance floor, and we created these decorations to make it look like an actual prom, which it was. And we used a small gym for them so that they could have all the room they wanted to dance around. And I have a few pictures as well to show. This was, we had a photographer, my friend Gus, and he helped me take pictures with everything. So this is what the small gym looked like. And then we had, this was all the students that showed up, and everyone who wanted to take a picture with me. And then we had some family that showed up as well to be there with their students as they were in the prom. So it was great to see their families show up and be there for them because it was so exciting. We also had teachers join in and dancing. I also organized having our cosmetology and our floral design help me in giving them haircuts and getting their nails done and everything so they could have like the real experience of prom. And that was really amazing to me. I almost cried all the time. And so these are just a few more pictures of what it looked like. Okay, that's it from me. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you guys for letting me speak about
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Taylor Thomas. Can't really see all of you. For my cast project, I wanted to, well first, I'm a flute player in the band program, and for my cast project, I really wanted to share my love for music with other people, and I thought what better way to do this than during Christmas time with people who don't always get to. Sorry. Be with their families at Christmas. So I got a bunch of people together from band, and we just put on a Christmas concert, and it was just really rewarding to see thank you, people's reactions to the music and just how music could bring these positive emotions back to people and really just flood them with memories of like their past life or with their families and their encounters, and here's just me. So I took a flute group with the bass flute, which I'm playing, and then right here is the alto flute, and we just played some traditional Christmas music like Silent Night and We Wish You a Merry Christmas. And so we went one time, and after the first time, we just kind of went out in the audience and just talked with all of the people, and they all kept asking when we could come again. So we went a second time, and Mr. Medina helped me, which is our band director, helped me to organize a clarinet choir as well and a jazz ensemble. And we all went back and played an additional time. And during this jazz piece that you see right here, there was a little old lady who started crying. And it just really touched my heart because you just saw how music can just bring out the happiness and the good in people. And I think that's what the CAST project is about, is giving back to the community and also learning from it and seeing what you can learn. And I feel like I learned a lot about how to be a more well-rounded person, as Mr. Parsons was talking about, and how the Christmas season isn't about what you can get from people, it's about what you can do for people and the love that you can show. So, thank you. Oh, yep, too short for this one too. Hi, I'm Carly, and for my CAST project, I made a whole bunch of beanies. So I am a senior, and so last year around November-ish, I went up to my brother's school. He goes to UT Dallas, and they had a family weekend, and one of the projects was making beanies for people going through chemotherapy, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. We didn't do it that day, but it was something definitely that kind of stuck with me. And growing up, I was in and out of hospitals my entire life, and one Christmas I was in the hospital, and a family brought me a little present. So that was something that really impacted me personally, and I was like, wow, why don't I give them a bunch of beanies during Christmas? Because I know just how small, even though how small a thing is, it can really impact a kid and a family's stay in a hospital. However, you will see that this project got very big. So actually,
actually, this is not the hospital picture, but this is an entire elementary school in New Mexico. So I've been doing a mission trip for the past 11 years with my grandma, who's back there in the purple. She runs it and she does all of it. And we basically put on a VBS for these kids. These aren't the same kids that go, but we're pretty close to that community. So we made over 73 beanies for them. And there's about 4, ooh, yeah, not that one. There's one of them. So there was like, yeah, it's okay. So there was about 4 classrooms full. So that came a little later. But back, oh gosh, how do I go back? How do I go back? I don't know. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, so if I can, there we go, I got it, okay. So now this picture actually just happened about a week ago. So I sent 133 beanies. Keep in mind I've made about 430 beanies total, like a whole bunch of beanies. But I went to Ronald McDonald House, and like I said, since I was in and out of hospitals a lot of my life, Ronald McDonald House really helped my family with that and helping provide free housing for them when I was in there for extended periods of time. So they were really excited about this. This houses 73 rooms for families, MD Anderson and Texas children. So I just thought that maybe a little beanie could brighten their day, and yeah, so that's one of the guys who runs the donation. So that's the other class. Now what's really cool about this project is I got to help a lot of big groups of people, but I also got to help provide for individual people. So on the right we have this lady who is an MD Anderson cancer patient. However, it did go through an organization that a family friend does that provides free housing for people going through chemotherapy. So I got to give them about 20, and they're making like gift baskets for all the families that stay there. And then on the left, we have this young girl named Emma, and it's one of my grandma's friends' granddaughter who was just diagnosed with cancer, and she started chemo recently, a very extensive time period. But as you can see, the beanie, she loved it and brought happiness. So that's another one of the classes that we gave to at Fularity. But on the left, there's my mom. She's also back there. And it was for a camp called Camp Kesem that my mom and my brother and my sister do. So it's a camp for kids whose parents have or who have died from cancer, and it just provides them a week to just kind of be kids. And so I brought like 20 beanies, and a plethora of people got those. Parents or not, they just kind of wanted them. So we gave them to them, and that's one of the parents. And then this is one of the homeless outreach centers I went to in December called Montrose Street Reach, and these are a few of the kids that got them, but I also passed out about 30 to the adults there, and so that was pretty cool. This is my second year doing this, and so we just went to a lot of different places, but basically what I thought was really cool about this project is that it's not over, and we're going to continue doing this project through, I don't even know when, but what was really cool is that a lot of people at my school got into it, and it really grew really big. And so we're still thinking about sending to more and more places because everyone needs a little love in their life. And what's really cool is that without this IB program, without Cass, I would have never thought about making beanies, like, ever. Like, I would have been like, oh, heck no. Like, that's so nerdy. Like, spending my Saturday nights knitting beanies, I'm like, no. But now I'm like, standing with my mom, knitting beanies, but like, it's just really cool, and I'm really grateful for all the support from all of y'all and Mr. Parsons and the students. They're awesome, but it's just a very tight-knit community that pushes you to go out of your comfort zone and really give back. So, thank you.
She made me a beanie too, and I gotta tell you, I wore it over Christmas break, and it was great. It was strange. It was like all of a sudden there's kids everywhere with yarn, and everyone just sitting around making beanies during school. I'm like, what's happening here? Anyway, guys, thank you for listening tonight. IB and our advanced academics, we're about the academics, but that's not all we're about. So thank you for listening.
Great. And next month, we're going to hear from some of the projects that are happening at Magnolia West. And so Isn't it great? I mean, I think in the best school district in the state of Texas, I mean, obviously, there's gonna be times when we talk to our kids about the need to give and the great, but isn't it great we can actually hear stories from our kids about the opportunities they've had because of their experience in our school district and experience some of the joy that's about giving, you know, and giving of yourself to others. So I'm just so excited about that, and we can't wait to hear the other ones next month from West. So.
Absolutely, serve some big hearts, and we wouldn't get to see it otherwise, so thank you for sharing.
Proud of them,
That's
proud of them
awesome.
being here and sharing.
That's awesome. Well, have we got anything else we want to do tonight before?
I think we got a lot to do, but we could probably need to take a break first.
Well, all right, we're gonna now recess for 5 minutes, so, anybody who wants to leave can, but we're not asking you to, so you're invited to stay if you like. Thank you.
I just think that's cool when you teach them, even young, and then they have to watch it over there. Circulates the desk, and teachers can do anything. Look at you think that's
We got
Things like that.
Actually, I was already up here. I just didn't see it.
Everybody's seated but us, so that's not a good sign. In the back. Okay, Ms. Hinkleman, do we have anybody signed up to speak other than the two that you gave me?
just the two.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm required to read this, so let me, please indulge me here. Participants must have turned in a request form and must have followed administrative channels before addressing the board. Participation is limited to 5 minutes. Any complaint or charge brought against an employee by name opposition must be addressed through the proper administrative channels and will not be addressed directly through this agenda item. Please note that the Board of Trustees shall not deliberate, respond, or make decisions regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda that is posted. So with that, we've got two to join us tonight. Ms. Anzik, you want to come up here and speak with us?
Hi, welcome to 2019. I'm Stacy Anzik. I'm Ramsey's mom. I'm a sometimes substitute. We've lived in Magnolia for about 5.5 years. So Ramsey's had her entire kindergarten, elementary, and now first year of intermediate school education here in MISD. And tonight I want to talk about the amazing special ed and teachers that got her identified with her reading disability and that journey that happened. All in 4.5 minutes now. So in 2nd grade, her teacher and I kind of had a conversation and said, it just hasn't clicked. You know, we both kept saying, and all our teachers kept saying, she's so smart and just reading's just gonna click. It's just gonna happen one day. And so Dad and I kept buying books and doing things that like, oh, she really likes princesses, so we'll buy princess books. And she would look at them and want us to read them, and but she wasn't interested. And so by the end of 2nd grade, her teacher and I looked at each other and both said, yeah, it's not clicking. Something else is happening. And she began to get more frustrated with us encouraging her to read, and homework became frustrating. And as sweet as she looks right now, you might not believe it, but she would get cantankerous with us. And as sweet as I look, I would get cantankerous back. And so it was a hard time for us. Our precious, brilliant child that everybody told us that she was so cute and so fun and so whatever wasn't fun when it came to encouraging her to read. So at the very beginning of 3rd grade, I told Miss Golden she was part of the star of this story tonight, and she blushed before she left. But so Miss Golden had a 504 plan ready to go because of just the logistics of how long it takes once a student is identified as potentially having a problem, and how long the district has and the state has to do all that stuff. At the end of 2nd grade said, even if we started it now, we'd have to start it over just for time frame purposes. So at the beginning of 3rd grade, the folder was ready to go. As soon as her 3rd grade teacher met her and was able to sign off on stuff, it was good to go. By a certain amount of blessing, her 3rd grade teacher was also her 1st grade teacher. So she knew her well and knew her abilities and looked at her writing sample and her reading ability and said, not much has changed since the end of first grade, let's do something now. So all that got signed off on. Working with her third grade teacher, Ms. Gonter, we were able to begin some accommodations even prior to her officially being tested. Between Ms. Golden and Ms. Gonter and ourselves, we just kind of said, let's make some accommodations to make life less stressful for everyone and make Ramsey feel better about reading and school and all those things. That first semester of third grade was hard, and then in January she was officially diagnosed as dyslexic. Started having specialized education with Misty McKay, who is a personal hero in our family. And for 45 minutes, 4 days a week, she met with Misty McKay and another group of kids that were diagnosed at a similar time as she was, and similar level of reading disability. And for the first time that 6 weeks, that 9 weeks, Ramsey was made the honor roll. And Ms. Gonter gave her not the most improved student, but the most determined student award, because she said ever since she knew her in first grade, her goal was to make the honor roll, and she always missed it by a couple of points in reading. And so Ramsey's great accomplishment that day, she says, is not making the honor roll and not making most determined, most improved, but making Ms. Gonter and her mother both cry. And so I've met many other parents with kids that have dyslexia in this journey, and none of them have the ease of getting help for their child that we've had in this district and in the school that we're in. And it was an answer to prayer when I got an email from Misty McKay this summer that said, guess what? I'm moving from Magnolia Elementary to Magnolia Intermediate. And that has been, I hope that she has a similar move to Magnolia Junior High, Magnolia West High School. If y'all can do anything about that, I appreciate it. I'll send you the email the summer before that we're transitioning. But Ramsey's done amazing things, and today I went to the library and I picked up 2 books for her in a series that she's reading, because she read 2 books in the series over Christmas break. And when she got in the car, she said, books! And I know that response would not have been so back in 3rd grade, and I know that response would not have been if she hadn't gotten the help she needed. And like I said, so many people that I encounter don't get the special needs assistant and the special ed assistance that Ramsey gets, and I'm grateful to that, and I'm grateful for her teachers, and I'm grateful for y'all that encourage them and provide that. And I was just going to get up today and say, like, all that stuff is why I love our district. I mean, everything that we did at this point before the meeting, and I know I'm
Thank you.
So thank you.
Just ended.
Yep,
You're
okay.
Thank you for sharing, Ms. Bullard.
Guess I'll stand over here.
Sure.
Wherever you want.
Hi, I'm Heidi Bullard. I have 2 students at Magnolia High School, one that graduated from Magnolia High School. I am here representing my charity. It's Moms Helping Moms Texas. I'm on the board. I'm also the treasurer. Just to kind of make the community and the school board and everyone aware of what we've done in the past 11 years, and kind of to get an awareness out there, because this is the first school board meeting that I've been to, and we've been doing Project Hope for 11 years. And so I think a lot of the community doesn't really know what we do. Project Hope is a project that we started 11 years ago after the hurricane. We went into Magnolia Parkway and held a Christmas event for some needy children. The school counselor, my sister-in-law Sherry, helped us determine what students were in need. We invited them, they filled out a form. And from there, Project Hope has grown. We serve Magnolia Parkway, Magnolia Elementary, Smith Elementary, and Williams. This year, we also had Magnolia Intermediate and Bear Ranch Intermediate invite families who had kind of graduated. And when we invite students, we invite everybody in their family. So we aren't just serving elementary students, we're serving the entire family up through seniors in the high school. So we're serving elementary all the way through high school people. And we have been in communication with counselors at all levels, that if you have a student that's kind of graduated out and you feel that there's a need, we'll invite them. So this past year we served 700 families and had 1,100 kids that we provided
Christmas for. And we are just a board of 4 moms that I'm actually the one Magnolia ISD representation, but they're very committed to helping Magnolia ISD every year. We just have a niche. We have a very good relationship with the counselors that we work with and their administrators in their schools, and it just flows very smoothly for us. But I'm just wanting to bring awareness to the community, so a lot of people, when they see these toy drives and clothing drives, they know that they're helping people in their district. When you see Moms Helping Moms Texas, it does come back into Magnolia ISD and into the district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both for taking time tonight. That was awesome. Okay, moving on to our consent agenda. This portion of the agenda consists of items to be routine and be enacted by one motion unless separate discussion is requested. So, is there separate discussion requested? Anybody have any questions? Okay, if there are any questions, we need a motion that the board approve consent agenda items A through C. Motion by Sonia, seconded by Kelly. All in favor? So that motion passes. Now then, at this time, we're going to go into a public hearing regarding the 2017 and 18 Texas Academic Performance Report, otherwise known as the TAPER report. So, Dr. Hebert, you're on deck.
Okay, I'm checking to see if Denise has got us up. Thank you, Denise. This report is, as he said, the TAPER report, which is short for the Texas Academic Performance Report. It is a required report given to districts each year. It comes from statute that, and it comes at the same time that we get a published report from the state. In fact, it's actually a 24-page report. And as much as I love and appreciate you guys in School Board Appreciation Month, we could belabor our time and go through all 24 pages and all those tidbits, but we're just going to get a little preview tonight of some of the things that are actually found in the report, and I'll show you where to see that online in ways that as you have questions throughout the year, it's for all of the public to be able to look up information and see some of the data that is available about our school district in regard to many different areas, and I'll show you what those are tonight. So in order to actually get to the report, you can go to the web page. I usually just Google Texas Academic Performance Report, but there is a website here, and this PowerPoint will be posted on the web along with the report that are posted on our website as well. There's a district report and a report for each campus, and that will be posted on the district webpage and also on the campus web pages. So we try to make it accessible to parents. And then for anyone who doesn't have easy access to the internet, if they have a question and want to see a hard copy, it is available in each school library as well. And so one thing, though, they've done, trying to help it be easier for the general public to use and find information rather than scrolling through all 24 pages of little bitty print, they've put it this year in what they call a comprehensive dynamic online data system. And basically it now has menus, so if you want to see attendance, you can go to the menu at the top and it's easy to scroll down and see, I want to see attendance. And you can click on that. Or if you want to see college and career readiness data, you can go to the menu. It's easier to find, and they've made that available for the public. For our website, they also give a PDF version, and that's what we're required to post for people that we have up on our website. So I believe that's already there, and people can find that easily. So in looking at the TAPER report, one of the things that we're asked to do is to keep in mind the goals that we have and to use the information and the data that is collected in the report to determine, are we reaching our goals, and how do we use that information to leverage that and push us forward in our goals. Our board has adopted these 3 goals, which are first, that we will develop and enhance a culture that values outstanding instruction and high achievement for all students. Secondly, that we'll create a culture that promotes administrative efficiency and maximizes resources to increase budgetary allocations to the instructional program. And finally, that will continue to provide a safe and secure environment for learning for all our students. And as we plan things, we work with these goals in mind all the time to make sure that we're providing the best educational experience possible, and the data that's here helps us to look and see how are we doing with that. So the first part of the report has to do with the STAR test, and we've had several reports already on STAR data and looked at where we are, and we spend a lot of time with the administrators going through that frequently. And so some of this you've seen before, but as part of the public report, we'll show you again. The Texas Accountability System has 2 basic rating levels currently since STAR began 7 years ago. Campuses are rated either met standard or improvement required. Now, as you probably remember, this is the first year of the rollout of the A through F rating system. And so our district now this year received an official grade, which is a letter grade of a B. And so we'll see that as we look at our campuses. Also, campuses are able to earn distinctions for top performance in comparison to other like schools to them. And so when we look at where our district is, we see that here's our campus rating with the district receiving a letter grade of a B in the first year, and then we're using the information here and other information we have to keep pushing that forward, working toward that A letter rating. In addition, all of our campuses, as you can see, have earned the rating of Met Standard this year. And no one was even close to the line on that. And of course, next year we know that all our campuses will also receive a letter grade rating just as our district did this year. Also, in earning distinctions, we've had this report before, but of course those that worked very hard and earned those distinctions always like to see their name in lights again. And so we have 5 schools: Bear Branch Elementary, Nickel Sawmill Elementary, Smith Elementary, Williams Elementary, and Magnolia West High School, all of who received 1 or more distinctions. And we're very proud of that. That was a goal of ours to expand our distinctions, and we expect to see even more this year based on some of the goals that they're working on there on campus. So when we look just at a little piece of STAR data, the STAR report has 3 levels of performance. It has approaches, meets, and masters. Approaches was the original passing standard. It's considered a step toward the final passing standard that they set some years ago when they started STAR, giving kids the opportunity to reach up to that higher place. And so when we look at this report, allows us to look at where we are in comparison to the state and region. It gives it by grade level and by ethnic group. Those can be looked up online. But if we just look at overall, as a whole, you can see that in every area for the level of approaches, we are above both the state and the region and have a STAR there because we've accomplished that. And of course, as you know, we want to continue to widen that gap and move our performance forward at a faster rate and widen that gap so that we can measure and continue to keep moving forward. Next is STAR percent at meets grade level, and that's that grade level passing standard. And that's one, the focus has really just now this year come on that one as part of the rating system. And so we can see that we are still ahead or tied with the state and region in all areas on our meets level performance, and we want to keep moving that forward. Finally, when we look at master's grade level performance, we are ahead in all areas, but just a tiny step below in the area of reading. And of course, that's given us a goal this year that we've talked about before, that we'll be working on that reading performance to continue to keep it moving forward so that it is not only ahead just a little, but ahead by a broader margin. So all of these you can look up in the report: reading in 3rd grade, writing in 4th grade, and see all of these levels and how that plays out on the STAR test in the report. Another thing that STAR measures and gives us a report is, are our students maintaining the level of growth that they need each year to move to the next grade level and kind of keep moving on the ladder all the way up at the appropriate pace to get through high school. And so they give us growth measures to measure that progress, and then that's reported here. And in kind of numbers, it's a little bit of a mystery number on how that is calculated with the point system. But with that, you can see we have growth numbers that are also keeping pace with the state and the region and staying just a little bit ahead. And so those we want, if we meet our goals of moving our performance ahead, our approaches, meets, and masters, if those move faster, this will move faster above as well, because the progress will move faster. So for STAR, there's a lot of information there that you can look up by grade level and by subject. Also in the TAPER report, they make sure to show that there are other indicators, just as we saw tonight, that show performance. And first of all, we know attendance in school is important to performance in school, and that's part of the report. It says recommended high school and distinguished achievement graduates, advanced courses and dual enrollment, college and career ready, how are they doing on AP and IB, SAT. And another report we'll look at, how do they do when they go off to college from here. And so there's a lot of information to dig through there. We're going to look at a few of those things here. We have recommended high school and diploma program graduates. This information is a year behind because it takes the state a year to collect the data and pull it all together and be ready for a report. So this is on the 2017 graduates and how it's grown. And if you can remember from some presentations past, you'll see that was an area of concern for us, that we weren't where we needed to be. It was a lower area in comparison to the state and the region, and we made that a focus area, and you can see that it's made quite a bit of growth moving up. And this coming year, we will be looking at our foundation high school program graduates and how that looks in comparison to the region and the state. So we'll get more information. That'll look a little bit different next year because we will have the different graduation program that we'll be looking at. Also, TSI criteria. The TSI is the Texas Success Initiative, and that's the test that students take to show that they're ready for college. In this, they also put in SAT, ACT, anything that shows that I've taken the test that says, yes, I can go to college, I'm ready to enter. And so when we look at how our students are doing in comparison to the state, which would be the dark orange bar, Magnolia ISD is that goldenrod bar on the end, you can see that we're outperforming quite a bit the state and the region when we put both subjects together, which is what you need to be able to enter as just a regular college student. But also with each subject level, we're outperforming both the state and the region in being ready to be accepted to college. We've had a few reports already. Ms. Johnson has given us some good reports from this year's data. And remember, this is another piece of data that's a lag year in this report. But it shows also that our AP and IB participation in 2017, it was up just a little bit. The state and the region are working on growing that a little bit too, but as we learned through her reports, that should grow up even more because by putting the two programs together, we've not lost a lot. In fact, we've gained and grown both programs. And then of course, when we look at performance, you can see that not only are we having a larger percentage of kids who are participating in the program, but they're also performing at a higher rate as well. And so that shows 2015, 2016, and then 2017, that the performance continues to get better. And well, it took a little dip this year, I guess, from last year, but we'll continue to look at that. We also didn't have some of our IB graduates. All of their testing information wasn't in because they took classes that didn't yet have tests. So they were not in the pool as well. So one piece of data here is college readiness. And when we look at that, this is a report from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, and it shows who's going to college in Texas. It doesn't report all of our graduates. It only reports those who are going to college in Texas. And so we'll need to keep that in mind when we look at some of the numbers. And so we'll check out a little bit about what that report tells us. The first thing is it shows graduates who enroll in a Texas institution of higher ed. And, you know, when I first looked at that, it looked alarming. We're below the state and the nation. But then that's what I want to remind you. It's only those who actually went to a state institution in Texas. If they went to private school or they went to out of state, they're not reflected here. So that's just something to know. That is in the report. But we know that a lot of our schools, or a lot of our kids take advantage of those opportunities at both private and out-of-state universities. Now, those who do stay in Texas, how do they do when they're there? And you can see that we have a good percentage. We'd like to continue to increase it, those who are ready for college without any remediation and do well and stay there and take care of things as they go. You'll see there's quite a lag on this. This is 2016 data because the higher ed board has to work with it, collect it, get it ready to give to the state, then the state has to make it into their reports, and that takes a while. So there's a bit of a lag there. Finally, I always like to look at this report. This is how our kids do once they get to college. What does their GPA look like? That's how well are they performing. And so here you can see our we have a lot of them that have above a 3.5 grade point average after their first year of college, which is pretty impressive. That's hard. It's quite a change year for them. And so, and then of course, you can see the rest of the distribution there on how they're actually performing. And so that is something for us to kind of keep in mind, making sure they're prepared not only for taking the classes, but for all of the things that go with managing yourself to getting those grades ready. And I think we watched a lot of our IB students show a lot of that tonight, didn't we? And then finally, the last section of the report has just some basic, I call it profile information. Things if you just wanted to look up and see who are the kids, who are the staff, what's the makeup of Magnolia ISD. And so if we look just at the ethnic distribution in comparison to the state, I think it's interesting. We've been talking about this the last couple of years. The state had told us that in public schools, I think 2 years ago, that we had crossed the 50% threshold. It was Hispanic students were more than 50% of the students in the state of Texas in public schools. And you can see then some of the other, the green is the white population in Texas public schools, and then 13% in the blue is the African American population, and the others are much smaller amounts. But then you can look at Magnolia ISD and see how our pie looks there. We have about 34% Hispanic, which is a growing population in our district as well. And then there's the 60% white is the largest makeup of our school district, and all the others are just a small percentage of our ethnic makeup. So those are the groups that we work with and we're held accountable for in our system, how those kids are performing.
And those are for what year?
Those are a lag year. They're not last year, they're a year behind. And then also, the student profile. If we look at the state for, these are students with disabilities. And I thought Dr. Stevens and I were talking about this interesting look at who are the students. Here we have lots of different kinds of disabilities that we serve. And as Stacy was talking about tonight, provide a lot of different services to a lot of different types of kids and try to meet them at an individual level with the services that they need. And you can see when you look at compared to the state, that we're pretty similar in kind of the makeup that is throughout the state in which of the disabilities that we have. And so our teachers, our staff do an amazing job of taking every kid just as they come and working with them and helping them to make the most of their educational experience here. I think it's another great piece of information to look at some of the experience level in our district. The first one is experience of the principals in our district is listed there. And this is last year's data, and it shows that we're down, the state and ours took quite a drop in this area last year. Both of ours, there was a younger experience base in the administrator level. And here in Magnolia, though, our APs are staying with us and doing a very fine job and a lot of good work on our campuses. But also you'll see that our teacher experience is higher than the average years of teachers across the state. But average years with the district has taken a little bit of a drop. So that's something for us to look at and think about as we move forward. And finally, for the year, I am proud to announce that we did earn the accredited status again, and the link to how you get to there is included in the report. And the final thing that is included in this report is that it's to come. The financial report is to come, and that is part of this taper report as well, putting you to the link to the financial report. And Dr. Morris will follow me with information about that. Okay. Are there any questions as we've rolled through that?
Okay, we're now going to open the mic for the public hearing portion of the meeting for anyone who has any comments or questions regarding Dr. Haber's update.
Yes, Dr. Fullerton.
Obviously, the state tracks the graduates that go to state universities. Does the district try to track the graduates who do not go to the state universities?
Well, we don't track them in the same way. We have informal networks that we know in our district, but we don't have a specific tracking mechanism that tracks their grades, and that's private information.
Well, even where they go.
Oh, we do know, yes, where they go and keep a record of that. Yes, we do have.
The state data didn't
Right.
show
The
that at
state,
all.
they don't have any way to track that through their systems.
I would think due to the nature of this district that your profile is probably quite different from
Right.
Many other districts, even close by.
Exactly. So, yes, we have, they have a whole wall dedicated to where the kids are going, and they keep that over years, and they kind of watch trends.
Yeah, that young lady that's going to Yale on the full ride won't show up in the state
Exactly.
record, which is a shame.
Exactly.
Naval Academy.
Right.
I think some of the other ones, yeah.
I have a question, just for interest. As I recall from a previous board meeting that, and I think maybe Ms. Baker was recalling the same information, the statistic makeup, ethnicity is very different actually currently than that data. Am I confused about that, or was it something we were projecting future data? Because I thought we were pretty close to 50%.
You may be thinking of the economically disadvantaged percentage.
Okay.
And that has gone from this report, it was 44%, and then we have in this past year, this year we've turned in 48%. It is almost 50%.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I just remember a chart did a previous meeting. I
Right.
was trying to look through my phone to see if I had those notes, but I didn't, so thanks.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if there's no questions or comments, then we're going to conclude this hearing. There's no motion needed. This was just for review. So thank you, Dr. Hebert. Appreciate that. Okay, at this time, we're going to go into a public hearing regarding the district's state financial accountability rating, which is the first rating. And Dr. Morris is going to talk to us about that.
Well, that's not good. Trying to locate my PowerPoint real quick. Sorry. I had it minimized on the screen here. Okay. Denise, can you turn it off for just a second if you don't mind? I'm sorry, folks. I had minimized it earlier. Maybe someone else logged in at some point. Excuse me. Okay, thank you, Denise. Okay, sorry for the delay, folks, but not to be outdone by Dr. Hebert's TAPR acronym, we're here for the first report, Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, public hearing requirement tonight. Just as a quick reminder, the first was created back in 2001 by the state of Texas as a financial accountability model, and so tonight's report is for the 16-17 school year for audit information ended 8/31/2017. Okay, I'll give just a brief history of scores and changes, and then we'll talk about the individual indicators. For the third year in a row, the model has not changed in terms of the scoring. All districts have the opportunity to earn the ratings you see on the screen in a letter grade, if you will. There were no major changes. There was one small change that I'll note when I go through the indicators. Brief history before we get into this year's score. While the score and scale has changed throughout the years, we've scored very well since inception, passing with a superior rating each and every year, except for the one year when it was I guess an anomaly year in the eyes of TEA where it was pass-fail. It's a tough one there, but for the last 2 years, we've scored a superior rating with a letter grade of A since that change was made, with a 98 and a 96 in the last 2 years. Okay, so drum roll into this year. We scored a 96 out of 100 this year for a superior rating. Pleased with the score. Obviously, we would prefer to shoot for a perfect score, but I'll go into the extreme detail about the one indicator here in just a minute that we narrowly missed the perfect score, okay? First 5 indicators are what's known as critical indicators, and if the answer to any of these is no, then you automatically receive a failing score, okay? Very simple, just very, very quickly, and then we'll open up for questions at the end, but did we submit our audit in time? Yes. Do we have the strongest available opinion of unmodified in our audit, and our auditors here tonight? The answer is yes. Were we free of any material weakness in our audit according to our external audit? And the answer was yes. Did we meet all our debt requirements? Of course we did. Did the school district make timely payments to the entities listed below? And the answer is yes. And finally, was our unrestricted net asset balance greater than 0? And the answer was yes. Okay. Now, as we get into the specific indicators themselves, I'll go through these fairly quickly, but most of these are on a sliding scale where whichever ratio or number of days and so forth and so on that you land on based on certain criteria then dictates your score, okay? Excuse me, indicator number 6 was a number of days of cash on hand and current investments in general funds sufficient to cover operating expenses. In short, that's your fund balance. Most of the time, we look at it on a monthly basis. We target 3 months. TEA likes to put it on a daily basis. So any district who exceeded 90 days or 3 months, you receive a perfect score of 10 of 10, okay? In my opinion, this is the most critical indicator in terms of financial strength. So we have right at 109 days of operating expenses and fund balance, so that's a good financial position to be in. Indicator number 7 was the measure of current assets to current liabilities ratio sufficient to cover short-term debt. And it's exactly what it suggests there. Your current assets, which is your primarily your cash on hand, divided by your short-term less than 1 year liabilities, produces a ratio. And then in the eyes of TEA, anything that exceeds 3 is a perfect score, okay? Our ratio was 4.5 for that indicator. Indicator number 8, and this is the one that we've narrowly missed for the 3rd year in a row since its inception. So you might see my blood pressure go up a little bit. I'm just kidding. But was a ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets sufficient to support long-term solvency? And I know I've talked to the board about my dissatisfaction with the terminology within this in the past and the calculation associated with it, but it is what it is to an extent. Long-term liabilities, and I'll dig a little bit deeper into this in just a moment, but long-term liabilities are primarily your debt requirements that exceed 1 year, okay, all of the voter-approved debt that we have. Total assets are, well, they're all of our assets, are current and long-term assets, okay? Our buildings, anything that exceeds $5,000 per unit and so forth and so on. So in the eyes of TEA, when you take these two numbers and divide the liabilities into the assets, a ratio below 0.6 is ideal for perfect score, okay? Ours was 0.72, and I'll go into how that compares with some other districts in just a moment, but it's important to note they do allow for some flexibility if your student enrollment is growing greatly, okay? So you see this number here where it says, or in parentheses, if the district's change in membership over 5 years was 7% or more, the district passes this indicator, okay? Well, in previous years, that number was 10%. So this is the only number that changed on the first report. Last year, the threshold was 10% to bypass it, and we had grown 8% the immediate previous 5 years. This year, they changed it to 7%, and we had grown 6.7% in the most immediate 5 years. So anyhow, so that's what we're dealing with. We're really close.
Being faster growth districts are adding buildings and have accrue additional debt.
Yes, sir. Thanks. To suggest that if you're growing that quickly, then it's okay to have more debt. And of course, keeping in mind all the debt's voter approved. So again, I have a little bit of issue with the long-term solvency piece that they've added to this, but again, narrowly missed it in terms of enrollment, in terms of being able to bypass it, and actually had a score that's better than many other districts, and I'll show that in just a moment, okay? Did the general fund revenues meet or exceed expenses? So did you have a balanced budget? The answer is yes. We had a $2.4 million gross surplus. On that one, you either received 10 points or 0 if it was a deficit budget, which is pretty tough. But. Indicator number 10 was the debt service coverage ratio sufficient to meet the required debt service? This is another interesting calculation, but it takes into consideration your current year gross surplus in your general fund plus your debt service fund, and then it adds in the debt service requirement for the current year, and then adds another number of the existing debt service fund balance and divides that entire number by your current year debt requirement, okay? And so again, in the eyes of TEA, anything that exceeds 1.2 as a ratio with those numbers is a perfect score, okay? Our ratio was 1.27. Okay. Indicator number 11 was the administrative cost ratio equal or less than the threshold ratio. This is something that we obviously take pride in year after year. We talk about. And basically what this is you take your entire instructional cost, direct classroom cost, and in the eyes of TEA, for our sized and similarly sized district, they suggest that we could be spending up to 8.5% of that number on administrative cost. Okay? In other words, any calculation that's less than that, you receive a perfect score. Okay? So we spent 6.7%. So that suggests that we are well under that allowable threshold. I want to say that it's roughly 1.3 million is what we could be spending for this purpose in additional administrative costs. It's a pretty large number. So we'd rather have that in the classroom, of course. But, yeah. Indicator number 12, did the district not have a 15% decline in the students to staff ratio over 3 years? Our enrollment increased, so we bypassed this indicator immediately. However, you might find it interesting that our student to staff ratio just changed minimally from 8.05 to 8.19. Okay. Any questions on that? And there's a total of 15 indicators, so we'll wrap this up pretty soon. But indicator 13 did comparison of PEIMS data to like information in the annual financial report. Have a total variance of less than 3%. We had no variance, and there really should be very rare occasion where there would be any variance. So the answer to that is yes, or we received a 10 of 10. And again, that one's either a 10 or 0 as well. Indicator number 14 was the annual financial report free of material non-compliance for grants, contracts, laws related to local, state, and federal funds. Again, our lead auditor is here tonight, but our auditors have suggested that we're doing everything that we should be doing with our federal funds. So, good place. Indicator 15, did the school district not receive an adjusted repayment schedule for more than one fiscal year for an allocation of FSP funds as a result of a financial hardship? We have had no financial hardship, and we've also never reconciled our state payment for more than 1 year. So, the answer to that is yes, and that's, again, a 0 or 10 number, 10 of 10 on that. Okay? Okay, so I wanted to dissect just quickly, and I kind of went over most of this when we were going through the summary, but like on indicator number 8, again, where we narrowly missed the ability to bypass it and also narrowly missed the ratio itself. And again, keeping in mind the lower the score, the better, if you will. So our ratio was 0.72 when you look at liabilities to total assets, and when you look at some of our neighboring districts, you'll see that we actually score better. Conroe's ratio was 0.8, Montgomery ISD was 0.92, and Talma was 0.87. So, of course, their growth was far more than 7%, so they're able to bypass that. So, I am confident that we will bypass this next year with the growth within the last 5 years. But again, you could see for financial stability and financial strength purposes, we actually scored very well on this indicator. Okay. Just another brief comparison. Obviously, again, the number one indicator of a district's financial strength is your fund balance. Just a quick comparison of, we kind of look to our neighbors to the east. They have their stuff together, so to speak, as well, and I hope they look towards us sometimes. But we have exactly the same number of days of operating expenses and fund balance as Conroe does, and I think that's a good place to be. Scale is different, but this is all similar in terms of percentage and days. So Montgomery has exceeded the 90-day mark as well at 92. Okay. I didn't talk about this earlier, but there are going to be some substantial changes to the FIRST this next year, and I'll hold all of that until next year for next year fund purposes. They're going to a model that probably aligns a little bit more with the new academic model that's a little more stringent. It's going to force the average district to be in the B or high C range. So we'll see some more stringent criteria next year, okay? And this kind of speaks to that. I mean, 99% of school districts passed, 82% received an A, okay? What you might find interesting at the bottom of the page, the indicators that were most highly missed in terms of the perfect score. Fund balance, again, what we talked about, there were 21 districts who had less than 90 days of operating expenses in fund balance. 19% missed the administrative cost ratio threshold, 19% for the current assets, and then 18% for long-term liabilities. Okay. I think I took 2 breaths, so I'm just kidding. It's a public hearing format, so be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, so if there are no questions or comments, and we'll conclude this hearing. There's no motion needed. This item was for review only. Thank you, Dr. Morris.
Yes, sir.
And then I think you're on for the next item.
Yes, sir. A very lengthy agenda item here, but it's actually very simple. You know, each year we review our current debt structure, and also in looking at that debt structure, we compare our current year excess debt collections, or INS fund balance, if you will, to try to identify the opportunity to be able to pay off debt early, if that opportunity exists, to save on some interest. And I know the board is aware this is something we've talked about a couple months ago, but we identified a 2009 bond that's scheduled to be paid off 3 years from now in August of 2022. And also take into consideration our relatively healthy INS fund balance, we are recommending an early payoff of that bond, which will remove roughly $1.2 million of principal for the next 3 years to create capacity for our next bond, and also will save our taxpayers about $300,000 in interest by doing so. So it also leaves us, I think, still at a healthy level for fund balance purposes, even though we're spending $3.5 million out of fund balance. We'll end close to that 50% mark in terms of fund balance as it relates to current year debt requirements. So it's still very healthy, but not excessive by any means. So, any questions on that? And again, I know you guys were anticipating it, but.
We good? Okay, if there's not any questions, we need a motion that the board approve to adopt an order by the Board of Trustees of Magnolia ISD authorizing the defeasance and redemption of certain outstanding bonds, approving and authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement, authorizing the engagement of a verification agent, and containing other provisions relating thereto. So motion by Joe, seconded by Christie. All in favor? That motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Morris.
Yes, sir.
I would ask what we just paid off, but we know it's a little more complicated than that.
It goes back to 1992. So.
It does feel good, though.
Okay.
No.
All right, Dr. Bullock. You're on.
Blizzard, members of the board, thank you. I have to present to you the recommended school calendar for the 1920 school year. This calendar has been developed through our District Education Improvement Committee, which is comprised of elected representatives from each campus, as well as some administrators, community members, and parents. Our committee has been wrestling with the choices you see in front of you for the last couple of months, while also looking at what area districts are doing and kind of what the latest trends are around the state. There's a few things I do want to point out to you, then I'll be happy to take questions. The calendar before you is being recommended unanimously by our committee. It includes 175 instructional days and 12 days for professional development in our school calendar. First day of school would be August 14th, starting with a short week. According to our teachers, it is very popular, and our parents as well. Holidays where you would expect them to be, one of the key features of this calendar is there is a professional development day scheduled at the end of each grading period, the end of the first 9 weeks, and then again at the semester, the end of the third 9 weeks, and then again at the end of the school year. There is also a professional development day scheduled for Tuesday, November 5th, which happens to be Election Day. It's something a lot of districts are looking at for their calendar. It gets us in front of kind of competing interests of our schools are used for polling sites. Sometimes that makes it difficult for us to maintain the level of security we want to in this day and age for our students. It's also a good place to put a professional development day. So this allows us to use our facilities for elections, but kind of not step on some of the security measures we have in place for our kids. I think the kind of main topic of conversation over the last month or so with our committee has been where to place spring break. The committee is recommending what you see before you, which is the week of March 9th, which aligns with several area school districts, and we kind of see it as being what most places are doing in this part of the state. Tomball ISD is already declared for that week, as have a few other area school districts, as well as I know some members of our board will be happy to know that's when A&M is having spring break, as well as Baylor. So,
We already knew.
and Sam Houston State. So also Lone Star College is declared spring break for that week as well. So that seems to make sense for us to align with most of the things a lot of our families watch. UT Austin, Texas Tech, as well as HISD have chosen the following week. So kind of left us in a tough choice, and in discussing with the committee, we decided the best thing to do was to go with what the bulk of the places around us were doing. Conroe ISD is kind of keeping their powder dry on this one. They have put some ideas out about a calendar, but are saying that they may wait. And
until Magnolia comes over.
It's what it feels like, yes, sir, Dr. Stevens. But they are saying that they are going to hold until much later and may change when spring break is, depending on what they see out of other people. So we thought it best to go ahead and bring you a calendar here in January, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
I'm loving that we will not have kids in those buildings when the polling places are open.
Yes, ma'am.
What came in second?
What calendar came in second?
Right.
Most of the issues, Mr. Blizzard, we worked through in discussion. So when it came down to are there two options, really the last thing left on the table was where to place spring break. With the way the state has our requirements with being instructional minutes more than days, and with us choosing to start in that middle week of August the 12th, it gave us a little bit of flexibility. So we were able to come up with a direction that everybody's on the same page as far as where to place professional development. The holidays kind of choose themselves on some level, and really our only choice came down to where to put spring break.
Which is good. Looks like you bookended right before Memorial Day. And
Yes, sir.
I guess if we were not a DOI, we could not have done what you're doing.
You're correct, yes, sir. That's what gives us the flexibility to start school into that earlier half week and do some of this other stuff, like I have a professional development day in November on Election Day.
Sure. Good.
Any other questions?
Okay, if there's no questions, we need a motion to approve the 2019 to 20 school calendar as presented. Motion by Kelly, seconded by Christie. All in favor? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bullock.
Dr. Bullock, make sure you tell the DEIC we appreciate all their work on that. It's been a kind of a process of getting to it. But thanks for the work they put on this.
Okay, Mr. Bell, I think you're up next.
Good evening. It's an honor to present the district's annual financial report for the year ended August 31st, 2018. It's kind of fun to follow the first rating indicator process because you get to realize the significance of some of the items in here. So first of all, we're on page 7 is our opinion letter. Very pleased to announce it's an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance we can provide to the board that all the disclosures required by generally accepted accounting principles have been included and the financial statements are materially correct. At the very back of the report, there's 2 additional opinion letters that deal with your compliance that was discussed previously. And very pleased to announce also there was no compliance findings on there, no material deficiencies, nothing of that nature. So again, all is good in that respect. Going to just point out a couple of financial information to you. Over on page 30 and 31 is a statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for your governmental funds. If you were only going to look at one page in the whole document, this would be the page I would direct you over to. General fund is presented in the far left-hand column. General fund's total revenues came in at $105 million for the year. Total expenditures came in $102 million, yet operating transfers out of $2.3 million, giving you a net increase in fund balance of $800,000 for the year. You began the year with a fund balance of $29 million, and you ended the year with a fund balance of $30 million. And again, going back to the days of expenditures on hand, this is the key number to look at. That puts you right at 107 days. So based upon your increase in expenditures, you lost about 2 days on that count, but it's still, that's an excellent number to have, and you should be commended for that. So everything's very good in that respect. That concludes my normal presentation. I just want to talk to you something a little bit unique about this specific year. All governments across the United States were required to implement GASB Statement Number 75, Governmental Accounting Standards Board, that's GASB. They did something very similar to this about 2 years ago. You had to bring pensions on your financial statements for the first time. This year with GASB 75, they're having you bring on what they call Other Post-Employee Benefits. They abbreviate it to call it OPEB. So you're bringing on the other post-employee benefits. That's the cost of providing health insurance to retirees. As you know, healthcare costs continue to go up, so making that promise way out there to provide health care insurance ends up being very expensive, and so they're wanting to recognize, the Accounting Standards Board, wanting to recognize what that cost is and bring it onto the financial statement. These are very big numbers in the state of Texas, the way that the TRS is set up. That ended up bringing on about $40 million onto the district's financial statements this year. So there's two sets of financial statements in the document. One is on the modified accrual base of accounting, and that's the numbers we were just looking at. And to me, as a government accounting professional, that's the most significant numbers to look at. The other one is on the full accrual base of accounting, and that's what corporations follow. That's what you put your capital assets on the books. That's where you depreciate it. Under that model, that's where you're bringing on the pension number and this OPEB number onto the book. So it's not as important, but I do want to bring it up to you because it is a significant change. That information is presented over on page, get my pages to flip, over on page 23. And at the very bottom of the page, you'll see your net position. And for the first time since I've been working with the district, you have a negative net position now as a result of bringing on that other post-employee benefits. The thing I would caution you about is the economic of the district did not change from last year to this year. The only thing difference was an accounting change. We're recognizing this liability. I've done this same presentation every district I've gone to this year. It's been bad news across the state. It's bad news across the United States. So anyway, just wanted to highlight that one change to you. That concludes my presentation. More than happy to entertain any questions you may have.
What impact will that have on the ratings going forward and other evaluations that end up being done on our financial health? I mean, I know everybody's got to go through it. I mean, everybody took a hit here, right? But I just wonder what the new standard will become.
I think it's going to be impractical for them to include it in the long term, and I'm not sure exactly how this is all going to fall out. But in the long term, they couldn't put it in there.
I think the good news, Gary, is obviously for like bond rating purposes and things of that nature, I mean, it's going to have to be an apples-to-apples comparison. So if all other districts are in the same boat, while we don't like the way it looks, I mean, we're going to be still compared in the same avenue. So, you know, it shouldn't affect those types of things is what I'm saying.
So if the ratings of everybody, if their goal is to push them down because they're too high, then everybody's going to get pushed down by this.
And we're going to be limited in what we can do locally to respond to that. But at least we're in the same boat. So.
Yeah.
Well, it's something that the state would have to decide how they want to do the rating. But again, this is something we're dealing with across the nation as part of the accounting procedures on.
And also, I just pointed along, the district's along for the ride, whatever the state says the benefits are going to be. This is not a decision the board has made. That's a decision that's made in Austin. So you're along for the ride. The numbers are what the numbers are. You can't control it.
Right, I knew that. I just wondered how we were going to be, what hand we're going to be dealt, right? So,
Robert, we appreciate the job you guys do too. I'm just sorry, I wanted to jump in quickly. He and his folks do a fantastic job in leading us and guiding us as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate a good presentation of some bad sort of. I mean, we certainly, I think philosophically, I can understand that somebody has to take on record that potential debt that will occur with those employees after their employment down the line for health care. But we've talked about, there's under no circumstance would the district ever be financially liable somehow for post-employees
Right, the reality
expenses.
is that we budget every year.
Other than what we would
the
budget for a
current
particular year.
The current year district requirement for all pension purposes that we're required to do, okay? So let's say it's 2% for the TRS care, which it's a little lower than that, but it's something we budget for every year, and it becomes part of our normal yearly process. You know, by us having to take on the debt in any form of what the big picture may look like that we could owe in some, dream world to an extent, I mean, that would never happen. So it's a little unfortunate that we have to carry it on our books. But again, we're in the same boat as everyone else.
kind of a,
Your
just kind of a
legislature's in
bogus
session
number.
right
Yeah.
now, just
Yeah,
FYI,
it is.
if you wanted to write anyone.
One of the people who made us put the bogus number realize we're not going to.
Those accountants.
Huh?
Those accountants.
Thank you for pulling that out though and explaining it.
Okay, if there's no questions, then we need a motion to approve the 2017 and 18 financial audit as presented. Motion by Travis, seconded by Joe. All in favor? The motion passes. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Okay, anything else, Dr. Todd?
That wraps it up. It's a good board meeting.
So at this time, the board will now recess to move into closed executive session for the purposes permitted by pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071, consultation with attorney, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.072, discussion of purchase, sale, exchange, or value of real property, and pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074, personnel discussion and recommendation. Thank you very much.
Guinness Book of Board Records.
Okay, I need a motion that we adjourn this meeting. Motion by Kelly, seconded by Sonia. All in favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
How do you like them apples? Wow.